Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars. All right, so this is what we're looking at this week. We're going to be looking at, today we're looking at this one section here at the beginning of Proverbs chapter 9. They look at how wisdom provides for her followers. And the first thing we're going to see here in 9 is the idea that it's really a picture of a great banquet. So she has built this house. She's made it with 7 pillars. She slaughtered her beasts. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. And so this is a picture of a banquet, of a feast that's going to happen. There's this pavilion, this house that has been built, and it's all set, ready to go. And there's a couple passages which that should remind us of in the New Testament. In Luke 14:16, Jesus said, "A man once gave a great banquet and invited many." And so this is a picture that we find in a couple of his parables in the New Testament that Jesus told. This idea of a man having a banquet, or this having a great meal for people. And this would obviously happen on the feast days for the Jewish people. You would have a great banquet, but there's other times when you could do that if you're celebrating something. Perhaps a wedding. There's the wedding feasts mentioned. We see that in Matthew 22:2. The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. And so this idea of this banquet, of this celebration, of this setting a house, getting a house ready, having people come and celebrate, that's a picture that we find in different places throughout Scripture. Obviously, there's the one in Revelation. And then you have these couple in the parables of Jesus. And here you have it with wisdom. So that should be a picture that we are familiar with. The idea of someone making a banquet, inviting a bunch of people. And there's food and drink, for people to come. And the table's all set and people are invited to come to a party. And so the idea of a party or the banquet or feasting is a part of Scripture that we find quite a few places. So there's that. Now the next thing we see here is a new house was built by wisdom. That's what it says. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars. So wisdom is pictured back, remember, in 8:30, Proverbs chapter 8, verse 30. Wisdom was pictured as a master workman. And so the idea that the workman is there, and we already have this imagery in our head that wisdom works, wisdom does things. And so we have here, when we get to chapter 9, then we have this idea that, well, wisdom has built this house, and the house has 7 pillars. So wisdom follows Proverbs chapter 14, verse 1, which says, "The wisest of women builds her house, but folly with her own hands tears it down." And so we'll see in chapter 9, and the final part of chapter 9, that what folly does. But wisdom does what wisdom says. Wisdom is what wisdom does, or I don't know. But Proverbs 14:1 says, that's what the wisest of women builds, a house. Not tearing it down with her own hands, she's building a house. And that's what wisdom does here in chapter 9. Building a house. Now the house is built with 7 pillars. Now, the idea of 7 could be just a number that Solomon chose, or it could be 7 because it's the sacred number and represents completion, like the idea of the 7 days of creation. That throughout Scripture is usually a symbolic number, which means, it's the holy number, it's the completeness, the fullness, it's the perfect number, because it is the 7 day, like the 7 days of creation. You have that fullness of that week there. So the idea of 7 was a very known number to these people. So the idea could be that it literally has 7. It's a house with 7 pillars, or it just means that it's perfect, it's complete. There's nothing lacking in this house. Okay, it has 7 pillars. It's not going to fall down. It is good, and it's large enough building to house all of wisdom's guests. Wisdom is going to send out her invitations, and it's not a small house. It's a giant house. It's a house for all those who want wisdom to come in and enjoy this feast that she has set on this table. And so it sounds like a great thing. It's a party, Who wouldn't want to party? Who wouldn't want to sit down and feast and laugh and enjoy life with other people who are seeking wisdom? That sounds good to me. Yeah, that sounds like a great time. And so we see the next thing is that wisdom provides the meal. So you have this house, she's built this house, and then she's made a meal. It says the beasts are slaughtered. Now this has sometimes it has to do with the sacrifice of sacrificial animals. But so these animals have been slaughtered, they're killed, and now she has all this meat, right? And it's ready to be set on the table. So the beasts have been slaughtered. You got meat, you got the real food here. It's not milk, right? This is not for infants. This is real wisdom. This is the meaty stuff. So she slaughtered the animals, has it laid out there, and this is the party that you're going to. And the next, there's wine. The wine is mixed, it says. This is the practice of taking wine and mixing it with spices to give it some added flavor or kick to it. This was, to increase, enhance. The mixed wine was better than just normal wine. So like in the wedding of Cana, where Jesus was at, he gave spiced wine. He gave the mixed wine because the normal wine, I mean, it's just normal wine. Back then, it was probably not as potent or as good. I mean, sometimes you get some wine that is skunky. So you get some really good mixed wine there, and you're all set. So, so the mixed wine. Now, Isaiah 5:22 says, "Woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine and valiant men in mixing strong drink." So there's the idea of mixing a strong drink. Wine is what it is, but then there's this idea of mixing it to make it stronger, to more potent. And that's what they did. They knew how to do that. So there's the warning there in Isaiah 5:22 not to be a hero at drinking wine, which is kind of a funny picture. But the idea is, it's like, that's who you are. You're the man who drinks wine. You're the hero. You look how much wine you can drink. So that's the idea. And then if you go over to Proverbs 23:30, those who tarry long over wine, those who go to try mixed wine. So you see here, this idea of mixed wine is in several different places in the Bible, but the idea is that that's stronger. So you got to be careful with that. But here, the wine provided by wisdom obviously is not for being drunk. It's to make one glad in the heart, right? Not to get drunk with, because that would not be wisdom. Wisdom leads to soberness, not to drunkenness. And so it doesn't say you can't drink wine. I mean, wisdom set wine on our table. It's mixed wine, so it's the really good stuff. But it's not for getting drunk. It's to drink with the meal, right? It's to have something good to drink. And that's what wisdom does. So we got this picture, ready? We got this imagery in our mind that wisdom has gone about. She's built this house for bringing in her guests. It's a house just for this party. And she's slaughtered her beasts. She has mixed her wine. And now everything is ready for the guests to come. So that's where we'll end for today. Next time we'll see she sends out her invitations.